were back in Iceland in 1930s. The wind, a relentless, icy tailor, sculpted the very landscape of 1930s Iceland. It whistled through the eaves of the new concrete houses in Reykjavik and clawed at the ancient, grassy roofs of the turf farms scattered across the lava plains. Life in this northern outpost, balancing precariously between the old ways and the promise of modern progress, was a testament to resilience forged in a land of fire and ice. The decade opened under the dark cloud of the Great Depression. While physically isolated, Iceland was not immune to the world's financial collapse. The nation's lifeblood, the export of salted and frozen fish, saw its prices plummet on the international market. For a fisherman like Jonas, standing on the docks of a burgeoning fishing town like Siglufjörður, the anxiety was palpable. Jonas's life was tethered to the tide. Before the sun crested the mountains, his motorized trawler, a symbol of the new era that had replaced the sail and the oar, would chug out into the cold waters. The shift from rowboats to engines was a pivotal change. It meant larger catches and longer voyages, but it also meant higher debt for the boat owners and fewer jobs for the multitudes of small, independent fishermen. In the summer months, the herring fever gripped the northern towns. Siglufjörður, in particular, became the Klondike of the Atlantic. This wasn't just a place of commerce, it was a cultural phenomenon. Jonas would drop anchor and watch as hundreds of workers, women especially, poured into the town from the south. For a young woman like Helga, who had migrated from a struggling sheep farm in the interior, the herring season was her only real chance for cash wages. Her workday was brutal and nonstop. Standing elbow to elbow with dozens of other women in a cloud of salt and brine, her hands worked faster than thought, cleaning and salting the silver harvest. They were the herring girls, and their labor fueled the economy. The pay was essential, but the camaraderie and the dances held in the halls after a grueling 14-hour shift were just as vital, offering a brief, exhilarating escape from the economic hardship. While the coastal towns modernized, the farming communities inland clung to the traditions of necessity. In the valley of Hrunamannahrepur, Asta maintained her family's farm. Their home was a bijaris, a traditional turf house. Its thick, insulating walls, made of rock and layers of sod, melted into the hillside, offering protection from the winter blizzards. Life on the farm was a cycle dictated by the seasons, though mechanization was slowly creeping in. A small tractor might appear on a richer neighbor's land, but Asta still relied on her horse for transport and her hands for milking and shearing the shaggy Icelandic sheep. Her day involved constant, back-breaking work, feeding the stock, collecting and drying the precious wool, and preparing the simple, hearty meals. Food staples were dried fish, mutton preserved in whey, $dollar, and potatoes. Luxuries were rare, and everything had a purpose. There was no waste in this land of scarcity. The contrast with life in Reykjavik was stark. The capital was shedding its village skin and taking on the airs of a small city. New construction, primarily out of sturdy concrete to resist the fierce climate, was reshaping the skyline. Here, the emerging middle class enjoyed amenities that were foreign to the rural parts of the island. For Sigurd, a clerk working in a government office in Reykjavik, the changes were visible daily. She could walk to the new public washing facility, the Vadalager, where laundry was done using the abundant, natural geothermal heat, a marvel of progress. In the evenings, after her shift, she might meet friends at one of the newly opened ice cream parlors. The simple act of enjoying a cold treat, even when the weather was freezing, was a small, treasured indulgence and a sign that life was slowly improving. Despite the economic woes, the 1930s were an era of fierce political debate and cultural development. The question of independence from Denmark, though still decades away, was a constant undercurrent. People gathered in community halls and coffee shops, debating socialism, independence, and the government's role in combating the depression. The establishment of the state broadcasting service, Dollar in 1930 was a revolutionary event. Suddenly, news, music, and lectures could reach even the most remote farms, slowly knitting the disparate, scattered communities into a cohesive nation. For the children of the decade, the geothermal heat was often the center of their social lives. Instead of bundling up inside, they would spend their free time at the public pools, like the famed Sundhallen. These pools, warmed by the Earth's core, were not just for swimming but were also social hubs, places where young and old met to converse, share news, and forget the damp cold. As the decade drew to a close, a subtle shift in the air was evident. The fishing industry, though volatile, had survived the worst of the Depression. The migration to the cities continued. Turf houses were slowly being replaced by concrete structures. The sound of the steam turbine was becoming more common than the call of the farmhand. However, the self-reliance, the deeply rooted pragmatism, and the profound connection to nature that defined the Icelandic character remained. Life in the 1930s was a constant negotiation with the land and the sea, characterized by hard work, shared struggle, and a quiet, unyielding hope for a prosperous future. They didn't know the upheaval the 1940s would bring with the war, but they had already mastered the art of enduring.